Hi, this is COM239, Topic A, Key Concepts. So we're focused on customer relationship management in this topic, and Bootle and Macklin, who are your main reading for this topic, define CRM as the core business strategy that integrates internal processes and functions and external networks to create and deliver value to targeted customers at a profit. It's grounded in high-quality customer-related data and enabled by information technology. So let's unpack that. So we need internal processes and systems to be able to cope with the CRM, to be able to deliver the CRM to internal and external networks and stakeholders, and it's delivered to targeted customers at a profit. And I always like to dispute that. It's not always at a profit. If you're working in a not-for-profit organisation, community-based organisation, we mightn't be setting in place a CRM to make profit. We might be doing that so that we can give our customers the best that we possibly can, particularly if it's community. Data management is really important, so a data management system that's managed properly and ethically is important and underpinned by IT, which should not replace those people-centric or human-centric approaches. So there are three types of CRM: strategic, operational and analytical. Now the first one, strategic, there are four areas. Customer-centric. So customer-centric is where we place the customer at the centre. So for instance, at Charles Sturt University, we're a learning institution, we're a education provider, and students are at the centre of what we do. That's a very good example of customer-centric. Product-centric. Everyone walks around with their phones. Some people have Apple, some people have Samsung, but Apple's brought the product-centric centricity of Apple, Macs, iPhones is quite apparent across the world. And then we have production-centric, where we actually want to do things with maximum efficiency. So we produce things at the cheapest cost, but they mightn't be always the best outcomes. So some of the really cheap sweatshirts, t-shirts that we wear that come from China, etc., they're very cheap, but they're not always that terrific for the environment, and they're not always that good quality. And then we have sales oriented. So would you like fries with that? McDonald's is a very good example of that. Properties, trying to sell properties, used car salespeople, etc. Very much we want to get as many sales as we possibly can. So, we've just given examples of each of those. You think of some examples as well. And I think it's really important in this time of the COVID-19 pandemic that we think of how these things are changing. The orientation, the customer relationships are changing. So a good example is Woolworths. Woolworths, we would have said, was very much sales oriented, to a degree product oriented as well. Product, Woolworths being the brand. They've pivoted, they've flipped, they're much more customer-centric, they're delivering goods, they're being really responsive to customers' needs, totally different orientation. And the interesting thing is their profits have increased. So that's a really strong message. Then we have operational CRM. So this is where we actually have it completely automated with software development. So we have our marketing strategies, the way we market is automated. So we push things out to people's phones through emails, Facebook, etc. All automated, though. There's a system for that. A Salesforce automation. So this goes through the Salesforce and it's automated through there. A service automation. So that's like call centres, everything's automated. You ring up and, you press this button, press that button, etc. And then we've got an analytical CRM, which deals with the collection, storage, extraction, integration, processing, interpreting and distribution of customer-related data, and thus increases the value of both customers and the company. So this is where we actually analyse, and as each interaction, and we have this at CSU, each interaction is analysed. We have touch points, and it is stored in a database system. We can click on that and we can see this student has, got this support or that support, etc., etc. So all of the interactions are logged, and it's automated. So I asked the question this week at our online lecture, as communication professionals, in which type of CRM would you most likely be situated and why? And obviously we can be in all of these, and it's something that we kind of probably gravitate towards the customer-centric as communication professionals, but in all of these areas communication professionals add value. And I gave the example of a nephew of mine who works in software development. He's a solution architect, and so he actually really works in the operational CRM area, and he's quite nerdy, knows all the software stuff. However, he also has to use very superior customer relationship communication skills to deal with the people that he's dealing with, because he's providing a software solution to that company. So he has to be able to interact with them, relate with them, establish, through that pathway of relationships, have to establish those so that there is a bond and that they're working together in partnership. So there's 4 different models that Butel and Macklin present, and there are more, and your organisation might use another one. So there's the IDIC model, which is the most simple. So it has 4 customer-related actions. It identifies the customers and then differentiates out those customers, works out how interaction, but customises those interactions as well. And then we have the CRM value chain, which integrates a series of primary stages with underlying conditions, which lead to supporting conditions that enhance customer profitability, to lead to enhanced customer profitability. Customer profitability and enhanced amount of customers. So the primary stages go through there. We have to analyse our customers. We have to become. So these are the relationship stages as well. The customer the intimacy, the development of the network. We have to provide a value proposition, and then we have to continue managing that relationship. But really supporting this is we have to have a culture. So we actually have to have a culture that's oriented to customer relations, and organisational culture is a very important part of a communication professional's knowledge. And we actually have to have the will to be able to be oriented to this. We have to have the procurement, the financial processes, the HR processes, the IT, and the organisation has to be designed in such a way that the functions can deliver that as well. So this is the Butel CRM value chain. Then we have the Payne and Froese 5 process model, which is a very complicated one, which I mentioned my nephew, who's a solution architect, would very much like this because it's underpinned very much by the data repository, the IT systems, the analysis tools, the front office applications, the back office applications. But we actually have to develop strategy at the beginning. So we have a business strategy and a customer strategy. We move through the value creation process, through the multi-chain integration process. This is quite complicated. So we have Salesforce. In the physical, we have outlets, we have direct marketing, and then that crosses over with call centres and telephony, electronic, mobile, commerce and social media. And most organisations have all of these channels now. And then we have a performance assessment processes, so shareholder results obviously, and we have to monitor things with KPIs, etc. So that's the Payne and Froese 5 process model. And the last one is Gartner Competency Model, which has 8 areas of expertise. And I particularly am drawn to this, particularly probably because of the yin and the yang, and it's actually placing the customer experience is the most important, as well as the organisational collaboration. So as an organisation, we need to be able to collaborate to develop the best experience for our customers. And so first of all, obviously is always a vision created, which is the vision for leadership, for social worth, and the value proposition. What is the value that we are taking to our customers, providing to our customers? Then we have to set up a strategy that will get us to that vision, which has objectives, the segments of customers, and how we are going to interact. How are we going to employ that effective interaction through multi-channels, etc. Is there going to be more of a focus on social media, etc. And then we move through to the 3 and the 4, which I mentioned before, at the heart of this. And then we have our processes always underpin that. We have to understand our customer life cycle, what is the life cycle of this customer, and where are the touch points where we'll be interacting with them. What's the knowledge management that we need to have? So we'll have knowledge articles, etc., so that we can actually be responsive to their needs. And then we store information through, data analysis, etc. And then we have one view across all channels. So all channels, that interaction we can see right across the channels we're using, underpinned by the IT, and then metrics. We really have to, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So we always have to have metrics. So how much it's going to cost, what was the satisfaction, what's the loyalty, what have been the social costs. And I really particularly like this. At the top we've got the social work, we've got the social worth, and the social costs. Quite often, and I talked before about the sweatshops and about producing cheap t-shirts, etc., in third world countries, or even sometimes first world countries. But what are the social costs? What are the on costs to the people that are producing those, to the environment, etc.? So we really need to think, well, what is the benefit we're adding by providing this customer service? And all the time we look at that at CSU, and we go back to the CSU phrase, Yindiyamara Winyanana, which means living in a world worth living in. So we always are oriented to that social benefit. So that's it for the concepts for customer relationship management. I hope you can get something out of this, and that you can use 1 or 2 or 3 of these models, particularly one as a theoretical underpinning for the strategic relationship management plan that you are developing for assessment 4. Okay, cheers. And just before we go, remember that the human-centric models are most important. And we will explore these as we did in the tutorials. And the references are Butel and Macklin and Canity. Thank you very much. Cheers!